Nice angle, Shirley. I'm glad I'm the only one here.
I made sure of that first. I think I just blew up our stove.
Oh my gosh.
We're having a domestic crisis. I don't want to eat. I'll eat at 8, like I said. Is it coming back on? Oh shit. Here, wait.
What did you do? Oh dear.
What?
I spilled water on.
It's not supposed to happen like that.
No, that's not supposed to be what's happening in your stuff. This is kind of entertaining though. Maybe it's resetting.
Can you unplug it and plug it back in after it's had some time to dry out?
I don't know, maybe.
Whoa, it's going crazy.
Right? The stove, everything's behind it.
Yeah, I could try the circuit breaker.
Yeah, Mart, should I go down and turn the circuit breaker off? Or just let it be? What? Okay, I'm going to go do that. I'll be back.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, I'm actually going to take you
Aliens in
downstairs
the
with
snow.
me because...
We always start with some drama here.
Well, here's my thing. Okay, don't you think a stove should be able to handle some water spilled on it?
Yes, it should.
Okay, no looking at our messy room. Everybody wanted a tour of our house, right? I hate that stove anyway. And the thing with electric stoves is, I'm laughing at our house.
Sabotage! Hey, look, there's the
It's Blair Witch Project.
Oh my God, that's what it looks like too. Let's see, stove. Okay, I'm gonna, that's the big one, I thought. There it is.
Look at that, all neat and labeled.
No problem, it's all, okay, so that is, for future reference for anybody who lives in Tacoma, that is People's Electric, and they are awesome. They are most awesome. Oliver Peoples runs it.
With
He's
2
like
E's or
training
E's
his daughter.
or
Hmm?
With 2 E's or EO?
EO. And he's like training his daughter to run it. He's got women and people of color as his apprentices. And they, every time I have to go to that breaker box, I'm like, oh, I love them because they did everything right.
See?
For old houses and wonky things, we like DF Electric.
Old references.
They're good. They're busy right now, but they're good. Okay, problem solved, at least for now.
Set aside until a later date.
Yep.
Your stove's on a stay-at-home order.
It has
Yes,
the
it is.
screen I've ever seen on an appliance.
It is normally just a nice little clock.
Oh,
But
It's angry.
But here's the thing with anybody who has any appliances that are built maybe in the last 5 years, is they all have this, or well, 20, because obviously we've lived here 8. They all have this stupid electronic computer control panel in them. So there's a fan that runs whenever you have the oven on because it has to keep the controls cool.
Oh.
I missed my normal electric oven that had a knob on it and wasn't programmable and had a little tiny tick-tock clock in it.
Yes.
Anyway, we're here. I'm settled. It's good.
Awesome. All right. Let's get some singing going. I am guessing that Carl will be No, Carl is on a backpacking trip. I don't know where Carl is. He might show up. He might not. We are missing Mary Claire, though, and I don't know how many of you know her, but her son is in the hospital in grave shape. and so she's not going to be rejoining us. And if you're close to her or whatever, I'm sure you know about it already, or if you're a Facebooker, but if you want information or want to help them out, they're in Seattle for probably going to be weeks, if and that would be the good outcome. So keep her in your thoughts. All right, and on that happy note, how did we do with our sight singing this week? I got lots of interesting notes back from people. How'd you go, Shirley? Were you less slacker?
A little bit less. Yeah.
Okay.
I did some. I got some bad earworms from you. Thank you very much. But yeah, I did okay. I don't hear it. I see it, no problem. I don't hear it. So
we'll work on that. All right, Joel, how about you?
I actually had some adventures on the website. In a good way, in the sense that I played around with the mechanisms of the
tone savvy thing.
And I realized a couple of things. One is, at the moment, I totally freeze when it's a test, and when it's practice, it's okay. I don't even mind that it's constantly timing me and counting the stuff, as long as I don't have to like sign on to this is me.
So take that and use it however you will. You can go in there and make up your own. You can turn on.
That's what I was doing, and that was very cool. Because the two other things I realized. One is that in the rhythm section, it's partly a test of short-term memory. Oh, Mary. So that was the downside. The good news is that I discovered something interesting, which is that I hear intervals differently depending on where they are in the scale.
Right.
So that there are certain ranges in which got it cold. And then there are other ones where I say, really? And I click another one. No, it's not that. I say, well, then it must be. No, it's not that. So it's very interesting that the acoustical something affects, at least for me, the perception of the intervals.
And do you think it's the actual perception of the interval, or do you think it's the context of the scale that it's coming out of, or because that has tuning issues to it. So if you've got a baseline do in the back of your mind, and it comes in on something that's not a do and goes somewhere, that can.
Yes, that certainly made it more challenging. Yeah. But I got intrigued by it.
Good.
In the sense of, I felt like an old lady playing the slot machine in Vegas, where it's kind of kept reinforcing itself. Even when I realized that I was tired and I was actually not getting quite as high a hit rate, it was okay, because it was just doing interesting different things. So that website is very well done.
I've been using that for about 20 years now, and it started off really simple, and it's gotten much. He's done a lot of things with it, and especially since this last shutdown. And he offered up, when everybody got sent out of school, he offered up free until the end of the shutdown. I still pay him because I was already a subscriber and I want him to keep doing his thing. But he also put a lot more time and effort into it while he was. So it was a really nice thing to do. And, it's not pretty, it's not all gamery and things, but it gets the job done. And it's the least offensive in terms of horrible electronic noises that a lot of people do on their website. So anyway, and you can call him and talk to him, and he's super nice.
Now, does he do this website for a living, or does?
No, it's a side thing. I think he's a professor at a college in Canada, I believe.
Huh.
I might have him mixed up with another thing, but you can look it up and it'll tell you where he is.
Anyway, so that was my answer this week.
Yeah. So anything that sparks your curiosity and makes you want to dig deeper is an awesome thing. So
Yeah.
I'm glad. Anne, how'd you go?
Hey, Carl. Yeah, I did fine. I worked on both the intervals and then also the yeah, I did a lot of singing to myself, which I guess is the point, right? The having the songs, kind of a song for each interval. So I would kind of sing through different things and use both those songs to figure out the interval or sing up the scale and back down. I really liked a sixth for some reason. I was surprised at that. And then Shirley mentioned the earworm. I think I'm going to make that Romanian song my ringtone.
Oh my goodness. Larry sent me, I think it was on It's a Small World. He sent me a quote about earworms. And I wanted to know where I didn't ask him where it came from because it was the middle of the night, but I wanted to know. So I typed it in and was going to Google it. Never Google earworm.
Oh. Especially not late at night. Right?
It has nothing to do with music. You don't want to know.
Oh, okay.
Better or worse than the Wrath of Khan?
That's what I think of, actually. The Wrath of Khan.
Because then you get eye worms, and then you get nose worms, and then you get... It's bad.
Worms.
Worms.
I heard a Discovery Channel thing on, I think it was beneficial nematodes or something. There's something in your eyelids that
They live in the base of your eyelashes.
yeah, but it said it may make us uncomfortable, but at least we have the knowledge that we are never truly alone. Ew!
Where our whole little ecosystem is everywhere.
All right, Carl, how'd you go?
How'd I go? The week in summary, is that what you mean? It was okay. I tried to guess the tunes. I think they went okay. I'm not totally sure based
The
on the
fact
response.
that you could sing one well enough for your kid to know what it was means that you're being successful.
Great. That's right. Yeah, my son helped me on the chicken song.
Yeah, so Larry had to do the same thing with his wife, but it's like, it's a win if you can sing that song well enough to know, even if you didn't know the song, if somebody else can recognize it,
Yeah.
you got it off the page.
I will say the interval stuff has me struggling a little bit, especially
Okay.
coming down. I found that harder than going up for whatever reason.
We talked about that this morning, and there are some things that can help you with that. Coming down for some reason is a lot harder. It's like when we go, we can sing up the scale just fine, getting all the letters in the right spot, and then coming down is different. What I suggest is using the tone ladder, because then it kind of anchors you all in one spot. It's that paper that I gave you that has the keyboard, and
Okay.
this one has a ladder on it. And Larry was saying that if he visualized the ladder like a step ladder that's the triangle shape, if he went up this side and then tried to come down this side, he could never find it. But if he went up this side and tried to come back the same way, then he could find his way. And so using this is a really helpful thing to do. It just kind of gives you that where everything is, and it's not so directional.
I see.
I don't know. It's just weird constructs in your mind that it might help, it might not. All right. The other. No, I'll talk about that later. Mary.
Oh, it was sort of hit and miss. Not as much time to work on it as I wanted to. And sometimes I could just sit down and do the little, tone savvy or whatever that thing, those little tests and things. I could just sit down and do it. It wasn't very hard. And then I would do it again a different time. And it was like I had no idea. I couldn't hear anything. I'd be like, what? That's an octave? I'm sure that wasn't.
Yes.
It was just variable. And one of them was, as I thought about it, in different registers. The real low ones, it was harder for me to...
That's interesting. Yeah, I have trouble with the high ones.
See, and I think that's because I kind of sing it in my head and it's in a register I don't sing, so it doesn't surprise me that you found the low registers easier than the high ones.
Your singing register is easier than any other one because you can audiate that inside your head easier than you can the ones that are in the extended range.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so unless you practice that inner hearing from a young age, I mean, Mozart could hear the whole symphony with everybody's part all going at the same time, all simultaneously. I can keep a round going in my head, but I can play one part and, you know, do different things. But it takes a lot of training to be able to hear the context and what you're doing and then analyze it all at the same time. So yeah, if it's in your register, it's a lot easier to hear because it's a sound that you make more often. And
Okay, yeah, that
it's
makes
better
sense.
that way. However, sometimes you have to figure out these things. A little stretch there.
That's right. I tried.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're doing enough work to know what works and what doesn't, and what's a problem and what you can work on. So we're moving along. This has been a crazy week for me. There's been a lot of things going on. So hopefully we're moving in the right direction. Well, let's go ahead and get warmed up. Today we are going to review what we've been doing. We're going to work a little bit on just the conversational aspect of solfege and being able to be fluent. And we're going to look at it from a few different angles like we've done in the past in our warm-up. We're going to talk a little bit about the quality of the intervals. But we're going to stick with just the ones that we need inside a major scale. So minor or major second, major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, major seventh, and an octave. Because right now that's all we really need. We're talking about major scales. And our main goal for this next week is you're going to be able to find do on your own. I've been giving you the starting points to get you going. And now we're going to look at key signatures and pieces so that you can figure out what key is this in, what's the home tone, what's the tonic, what's do. And if you know where do is, you can figure out where everything else is. So there you go. So let's go ahead and mute, and we'll just do a quick warm-up up and down the scale, quicker as we go. Here's our do, here we go. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. All right, and let's walk up in, we're going to walk up in thirds. So do, re, mi, fa, like that. Here we go. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, do. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, ti, do. And now let's take out the middleman and do jumping up. So skipping over. So we'll go do, mi, re, fa. So up a third, down a second. Here we go. Do, mi, re, fa, mi, so, fa, la, sol, ti, la, do, ti, re, do. Do, la, ti, sol, la, fa, sol, mi, fa, re, mi, do, re, ti, do. Shall we try that one again? From the top down. Right now, so do and down. Do, ti, la, ti, so. So here we go. do, la, ti, so, la, fa, so, mi, fa, re, mi, do, re, ti, do. Better? Okay, let's do do, do, re, do, all the way up, all the way down. Here we go. Do, do, re, do, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, mi, fa, so, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, so, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do, ti, do, ti, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, so, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. Okay, and we're going to add one on this time. We are going to do triads. And a triad is when you take a third and you stack another third on top of it. So we're going to go do, mi, so, mi, do, re, fa, la, fa, re. We're going to go nice and slow, and we'll give ourselves some think time in between. You know, do, mi, easy. Now, what's up from mi? So, okay, so here we go. Do, mi, so, mi, do, re, fa, la, fa, re, mi, so, ti, so, mi, a, la, do, la, fa, so, ti, re, ti, so, la, do, mi, do, la, ti, re, fa, re, ti, do. Do, la, fa, la, do, ti, so, mi, so, ti, la, fa, re, fa, la, so, mi, do, mi, so, fa, re, ti, re, fa, mi, do, la, do, mi, re, ti, so, ti, re, do. You can all click your voices back on there. So we'll work on that one this time, and I will put up some ways for you to practice that up on the website. Because that is kind of the basis of all the harmonies that we do, and being able to do that, do, mi, so, mi, do, re, fa, la, fa, re, mi, so, ti, so, mi, would be a really good skill to have, because you oftentimes see those in music, and when you can see them coming, and you automatically know what they mean, you don't have to stop and think from note to note, you can think in a bigger unit. Just like if you see a scale going all the way up, you don't stop and go from one note to the next, you shake the whole chunk. This is another way to help you do that. That often happens a lot in sequences where you'll start a melody on one level and then repeat that same pattern on the next level, and that's where those come in really handy. Okay, so let's do a little vocalizing up and down the scale. We're just noodling around to try and bring up our fluency, and today's order is going to be this. I will pass on a melody to Shirley, and Shirley goes to Joel, and Joel to Anne to Carl, Carl to Mary, and Mary back to me. All right, you ready, Shirley? Here's our do, which happens to be the D do from the.
And we're singing whatever we want.
As long as you
any
start
interval
on
we want.
As long as you start on what I left, and I'm going to stop you if your syllable doesn't match your interval.
Okay.
Guide you back in. So here I go. Do, mi, re, do, ti, do.
Do, re, mi, fa, mi, fa, mi.
Mi, fa, sol, do, sol, fa, mi.
So,
Mi.
where is it? Mi, so, do, so, fa.
La, so, mi, do.
Do, mi, fa, mi, re, ti, do. That wasn't a T, was it?
Do. Yeah. Do, 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 mi, so, so, so.
So, do, fa, re,
Fa.
fa, mi, me.
Mi fa sol la ti do.
Do, do, ti, la, so, la, so. Fa, fa, mi.
Mi, fa, so, do, ti.
Ti, la, sol, do, re, do. No, I'm not doing it. Was that re?
It was
Mi,
me.
re, do.
Do, ti, la, ti, do, so.
So, ti, la, ti, so, fa, mi, fa, so, do,
Well, can I have the last one again? It cut out.
do. Hi, do. Hi, do.
Sol la ti la sol fa sol.
Listen again. Do, do, not do, la, ti. If you're going up. Do, re, mi, right?
Oh, I thought I was starting on sol.
You started on high do.
Oh, I was starting on do. No, okay. You want to try again?
Uh-huh.
Do.
Oh, is up here? That's the do. Do, ti, do, la, sol, fa.
Mi, re, do. So you put a skip in there. So you ended on a low do. Do.
Oh,
Or mi, so, Angela, mi.
mi.
Erase what I said. Here,
Okay.
Joel, sing a song. Start where you want, end where you want.
Oh, for Joel?
Yeah, Joel, go for it.
Okay.
Fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol.
Okay, but this is our do. So it says where you want to so. Do, re, mi, fa, so, fa, mi, re, do.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol.
Nice.
Oh, do, 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 fa, mi, do.
Do, ti, do, mi, so.
Fa, la, sol, mi, do, ti, do, re, mi, do, ti, do, sol.
Do, mi, re, fa, mi, so, fa, re, do. And we're going to stop right there. So we're going to shift gears, and Shirley, I'm just going to sing a pattern. All you have to do is sing it back to me, and we'll just keep going around. Do, mi, so, mi, do.
Do, mi, so, la, so, mi, do.
Do, la.
La.
So if that's a T, I messed it up. It's my fault. I'm sorry, Joel. All right. Do, re, mi, so.
Do, re, mi, so.
So, do, so.
Do, so.
So, fa, mi, fa, so, re.
Sol, fa, mi, fa, sol, re.
Re, mi, fa, mi.
Re, mi, fa, mi.
Mi, re, do, ti, la, ti, do.
Mi, re, do, ti, la, ti, do.
Do, mi, re, fa.
Do, mi, re, fa.
Fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Fa, sol, la, ti.
Fa, sol, la, ti, do,
Do.
do, 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 ti, re, do.
Do, 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 do.
All right, so I'm going to switch it over. I'm going to still sing a pattern, but I'm not going to put the solfege syllables in. You have to sing the solfege syllables as if I did.
Oh.
I'll be gentle. All right, Shirley, here we go.
Okay, hang on a second. I was trying to remember person, woman, man, camera, TV. And I keep forgetting person.
He's not allowed here. It's just not.
That's not solfege.
No, but this is the kind of cognitive thing that it's got. It's like that function and concentration and paying
This is
attention.
a
It's
language. This has a context. This has
really
a
hard for
personality.
me. Okay, I'm listening. I'm trying.
And I am not worried about your cognitive skills.
Yeah.
All right, so here I go. That's a do.
Do, re, mi, mi, so.
Close. Mi, fa, so. All right,
Oh,
and then
okay.
here, Joel.
We're starting on fa.
So.
Oh, so. So, so, ti, la, so. Is that what I
Listen
heard?
again. Da, 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 da. Two of those notes are the same.
I can't match it to the syllables. Da, da, da.
So, just a little higher.
So, la, so, mi.
That's it. That's it. All right.
Mi, re, do, ti, do.
Do, re, mi, fa, so, do.
Do, ti, la, so.
Fa, mi, re, do.
We ended on a so. Which would be your first note?
Sol, fa, mi, re, do.
Do, mi, so.
So, la, so. So, ti, so.
No, you were right first time.
Sol, la, ti, sol.
Do, do, re.
Re, mi, fa, mi.
Mi, re, do, la, do.
A little bit further. Mi, re, do.
Do, sol, do.
Do, re, mi, ti, do.
Do, do, re, do.
All right, here's our do. Shirley, would you sing up a third, please?
Do, mi.
And Joel, sing up a third from that.
So, do, mi, so.
And go up a second from that, Anne. And go up a third from that, Carl.
La, do. La, ti, do.
Mary, go down a seventh.
Do, re. Do, re, re.
There you go. And Shirley, go up a third.
Re, fa,
Tune it up just
fa.
fa,
Do,
maybe
re,
fa.
fa, fa.
All right, and go down a
Right.
fourth. Joel,
Down the fourth one from the fa.
in the file.
Fa, mi, re, do.
And go up a sixth. And
Do, do, fa.
That's a fifth, so a little higher.
Oh,
There you go. And go down a fifth, Carl.
Re, la, re, la, so, fa, mi, re. Ah.
You're right. You know where you're going. Just tune it up.
La, so, re.
There you go. And Mary, go up a sixth.
Re, let's see, six, re. That's not a key.
And then, oh, I'll finish this off. Awesome. Okay, so a couple of ways when you're trying to make a bigger leap is we've learned one strategy already, and that's to count your way up or count your way down using the scale, just singing it either in your head or out loud. There are other strategies you can use too, and the more we get conversant with these thirds, you can kind of, when you're a kid and you start counting on your fingers and you count by ones, and then pretty soon you're counting by twos, and then you can count by fives and counting by tens. It's that same idea. Shirley says she can't count by fives or tens. Since we don't have dimes and nickels very much anymore, we don't do it quite as much as we used to. But it's a quicker way to get there. Or if you can find an anchor point that's close by, you can do that. So like to find a T, instead of going up the seventh, I go up to a do and just kind of smudge it underneath. And that way I can aim for it. I can lead into it. If I want a la, I kind of if I'm going from a do, I overshoot the so and just make it a little bit higher. So I'm not having to think, oh, there's this huge big space that I have to account for, or there's this huge big difference in frequency that I have to account for. I'm thinking, where are my waypoints? And you kind of slingshot your way around it. So if I wanted to go from do to T, I wouldn't think up a seventh, because that's a big whack and jump, and if I'm not real sure where my footing is, I don't know. But I can easily do an octave. Do, 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 ti, do, and I can think about it ahead of time, and I'm anticipating that. So that's another way you can think about it, because T's almost always lead to do, re almost always leads down to do, la's usually go down to so. They all resolve in those ways, and it's things that we've heard lots and lots of times. So you can kind of think about it that way, and it's just another shorthand way of getting someplace. Now, when I'm hearing people sing solfege, I was reminded last night when I was going through and looking for something to help you all with what we're going to do today, I stumbled across a guy doing solfege. And I listened to it and I thought, oh, it almost made my spine come out of the back of my neck. It was just like, that is just so disturbing. So I'm going to play it for you and see if you notice what might be disturbing about it. Not that I want to cause you pain. I don't think it'll cause you as much pain as it did me. Let's see if I can find it here. Okay. Now there are too many buttons to push.
There are some particularly special members of our band. The first one I want to speak about is our very special pianist, Stephen, over there. Stephen, he comes from Australia. He auditioned by Skype, actually, and he said, when he auditioned, he said, I can sing in solfege. And I said, well, we've all been drunk at some time or other in our life. So then that sing that, do, a dear, a fee, that kind of singing. And so, yeah, fine, that sounds great. Do you want to see his audition piece, Stevens? Stephen, come, yeah, come on. Yeah, come on, here we go.
fa sol ti la ti do ti la sol fa sol ti la ti fa mi re do do re ti do la ti la sol fa sol ti la ti fa mi re do ti la ti la sol fa sol ti la ti do re ti la sol la do re ti la sol la do ti do fa mi re do ti ti la sol la do ti do fa mi re do ti la sol la do ti do.
So did you hear what caught me by surprise?
His T was really do. Something. It was in the wrong place.
The words were with the wrong notes for the key.
So he was using fixed do. And so he was using an instrumentalists tend to do that. So he wasn't really using a functional solfege system. He was using fixed do, and he was just calling B flat by that name. Now the problem with fixed do for singers is that they call B T, they call B flat T, they call B sharp T, they call it, it changes how things go. But when he started out with that just blew my mind, because it means something completely different to me now. And it's like somebody going, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do.
Well, for me, fa is always F. So if I'm picturing it and I'm picturing the solfege, it's always C to C, and fa is always F in my head. So when I'm figuring it, which is because I play piano and I'm used to the rate, I see those notes. It's really hard for me to have a movable do.
And it's easy to visualize it that way, because we usually start with that major scale that doesn't have any black notes in it. And
right.
So you're always transposing. As we go on, I mean, a major scale goes from C to C, but if we scooch over and go, that's do to do, if we go from re to re, all on the white keys, that's a different scale, has half steps in the different places. A Dorian mode, a Dorian scale. And if we go on over from E to E on the white keys, that makes a different. So there's all kinds of different scales that exist, but we're just going to talk about this major one. And so it's not helpful for players who are worried about pitch and having to tune with other people. It's important to have maybe perfect pitch or relative pitch, or always have the same thing. But for us, it means we can transpose at sight. It means we can sing anything we want in any key that we want. And we know we get the big picture, rather than just, this is that pitch, this is that pitch, this is that pitch. That's how they relate to each other that's more important to us. And we have language to talk about the different pitches. So there are reasons why it makes sense to be in fixed do, and there are reasons why it makes sense to be in movable do. If you were singing 12-tone music, fixed pitch is your only way of finding anything. So, all right. Were you able to, I just sent it late last night, so were you able to look at that thing about key signatures that I sent you, that little video?
Oh, I didn't know there was a video.
Ah, so let me
look at the circle of fifths while I did it.
I'm going to hook you up with just this short video that's going to help us find our do's all by ourselves. So here we go.
Okay, so let's talk about sharps and flats some more, shall we? When a sharp sign or a flat sign is written in front of a note, we call it an accidental. Accidentals have special powers, in that they affect any note on the same line or space for the remainder of the bar. Like this bar looks like it only has one F sharp, right? But in fact it has two, here and here, because the accidental's power lasts for the duration of the bar. No need to write in a second accidental, and this keeps things nice and clean. Question then, how many F sharps are in this bar? Answer, none. Why? Because the accidental in the previous bar has no power in this one. If we want to make this guy sharp, we have to write in another accidental. Okay, so follow-up question. How many sharps are in the bar now? Answer: 1. You might have said that this guy is also an F sharp. But remember, the accidental only has power over the line or space it is placed on, not over every possible F sharp. What do we do when we want to sharpen this guy? Yep, throw in another accidental. But like, even with all these rules, the music looks really cluttered and messy, and all it's really telling us is, hey, every time you see an F, please play an F sharp. Surely there's a neater way of indicating this, and it turns out there is. To explain, every piece of music uses the notes of a scale. This piece uses notes found in the C major scale. So we say that the piece is in the key of C major. This tune uses notes found in the G major scale, so we say it's in the key of G major. Whatever scale a piece takes its notes from will be our key. Anyways, we can write the scale of G major in two ways, like this, or this. In the last example, I've pulled out the
Megan, you're muted.
So where he got these notes from is the whole step, half step. So that's a whole step from G to A whole step from A to B. Then there's a half step between B and C, whole step, whole step, whole step, and then a half step between F sharp and G. That's how we figured out that those are the notes in the G major scale. We might not know that right off the bat, so we'll find a way to get around that a little bit.
accidental and put it at the beginning of the tune. Similarly, we can write a tune in the key of G major in two ways, like this. Or this. I've done the same thing again. I've pulled out all the F sharps and condensed them into a single F sharp at the beginning of the tune. This master accidental, if you will, is called a key signature. Key signatures are always placed between the clef and the time signature, and they tell us two very important things: the key of the piece and what sharps or flats to play. The key is easy. Just look at the key signature and try to figure out what scale has the same accidentals as is shown in the key signature. Like before, find the scale and you find the key. In this case, we're in the key of G major because the scale of G major contains a single sharp, and that sharp is F sharp. Having the F sharp at the beginning also tells us that every time we see F, unless otherwise indicated, we should play an F sharp instead. And this works for other keys too. The key signature of this tune is empty, so there are no sharps or flats in this tune. What scale has no sharps or flats? C major. So we're in the key of C major. And there you have it. Accidentals, keys, and key signatures done. Music quiz! Very simple. What key is this piece in?
What key?
C.
I want to say C.
C major, even though it doesn't end on a do. It's in the key of C major. So, do. Right, that would be do. All right, so That's a pretty clean way of him showing us, you know, that you just take, when you're talking about what the notes are, to shove them over and how key signatures come. But he had a big leap in there that might not fit with what we know. For instance, he said, oh, just figure out what key or what scale has these notes in it. And if we don't know that, and we haven't memorized that, and we don't have experience with that, like maybe a keyboard player would have before they got to this point. Singers don't need to have that before they get to this point. We can sing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, or we can sing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, or we can sing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. We can do it wherever we want. We don't have to worry about it. So there are other ways of quickly finding your do. So let me get rid of this. And I'm taking you to our web page. Because there's a whole bunch of theory behind this that we don't necessarily need to know at this point. But down here at the bottom, I've got some scales. And so these are all the sharp keys, starting with C that doesn't have any. We've got 1 sharp, 2 sharps, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 sharps. Do you see a pattern of how they progress along? They always get added in this order.
There's more and more for every one, but they all start with the F sharp.
Once the F's in there, it stays in there. And then when you want to add another one, it goes
I see.
to C, which is a 4th lower. And then if you want to go to the next one, it's G, which if I put it down here, it would also be a 4th lower, right?
Oh, so is it by fourths?
It's by 4ths if you're moving downward. It's by 5ths if you're moving upward. Because a 4th and a 5th are inversions of each other.
Right, right.
So do is a 5th, so do is a 4th. You can get
or
them.
It's one step up. Well, for the first couple, never mind.
So they that's how they're put in there, and then they choose which octave to put them in so that they can fit really compactly at the beginning, and it ends up looking like this, and you can overlap them without overlapping them. So the thing that will help you when you're doing solfege exercises and you want to know where do is in a sharp key is pretty simple. This is an F sharp, and in a sharp key, all you have to do is go up a half step, and that will tell you where do is. This is the T note. The last sharp shows you where T is. So G. So this is the G. This is the key of G. G will be do here. This one,
and then D
is on a C sharp, so it would be D. And this one, G. So this would be G sharp up to
A.
A, so that's the key of A.
Brilliant.
That's A. And then D sharp to E. So E has 4 sharps. That's where do would be on E. And then here we've got 5 sharps, and this is an A sharp, goes up to B. And then here we have an E sharp, which goes up to
F sharp.
F sharp.
Oh, F sharp. Oh, okay.
F sharp, because it's already there. And E sharp is a shady character because E sharp is an alias, right? What's E sharp's other name?
F.
F. But in a scale, you wouldn't have 2 letters of the same name, or two pitches with the same letter.
Yeah.
So in this context, we're not gonna call him mom. We're gonna call him whatever. So we talked about how you have different names in different contexts. So E sharp goes to F sharp, and then this is B sharp, which is another one of those situations. So this is C sharp major, because B sharp is really a C, and it goes up to C sharp. Okay, do I see blank looks? You can refer to the keyboard to see where the holes in the staff are that show you what's up a half step. So this is T, 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 this is T and this is
Never
T.
knew that.
And if you know where T is, you can figure out where everything else is. And we're calling it by the major key. So there it is in the bass clef. Same idea, just a line lower. And here are all the answers. What's the difference between a major and a minor key?
Minor's down a third from
Down a third. So La is the tonic instead of Do. La would be the tonic. Okay, and then if you want to do flat keys, it's not quite as easy, but if you have more than one flat, it's still that idea of the fourths. So this would be Fa, which is that other place where there's a half step, right? So Fa, Fa, Mi, Re, Do. So that's the key of F. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And then it's always the penultimate flat names the key because it's down a fourth from the last one. So this is the key of B flat major. This is the key of E flat major. This is the key of
A flat, D flat,
E flat,
G flat, and C flat.
So what's the difference between G flat major and F sharp major?
Yeah, that's my question too.
G sharp major and F flat major?
F sharp major and G flat major.
It has to do with how they look. And somebody would tell you that there's tuning differences back in the old days with the tonality. In general, you will never have to sing in those keys. In general, we sing in C, F, D, sometimes A. We sing in F. We sing in B flat. We sing in E flat. E flat's the big one you find in the church hymnals.
Yeah.
Because it's everybody's voices fit into that octave really nicely, and most songs only go up to the high Do, and that doesn't top out the sopranos or the basses or the anybody. So they do a lot of songs are in that key.
I know.
So it has to do with ranges. All right, so that's all there for you. I wrote you a reminder of how to find Do.
It's so brilliant. Today I learned.
And it's a cheesy shortcut, and it's true. And there's a lot
I just
more
want to tell you,
big information
12
behind
years
it.
of piano lessons.
So all we need to do is when I send you out a challenge, I'm going to stop saying it starts on Do or it starts on Mi. You're going to have to figure that out for yourself. Now, not all songs start on Do. A lot of times they do. And not all, usually they end on the tonic. They end on Do or La if they're minor. But not always. And if you have a harmony part, not ever. But a lot of times it's in there and you can find it. But with these key signatures, you'll be able to find out where Do is and figure it out from there. Especially since we're just mainly working with major keys right now. All right, so you'll have that information.
Question?
Yeah.
Is there a rule for the order of the sharps and flats?
Yes. So it's always down a fourth, up a fifth, down a fourth, up a fifth, down a fourth, up a fifth for sharps.
Yeah. And
then it's up a fourth, down a fifth, up a fourth, down a fifth, up a fourth, down a fifth for this. And B, E, A, D spells out bead, and usually we don't have to go much further than that, but you can always figure it out. And F, C, G, D, A, and then it goes on from there. So, but it's the ups and downs. There's a thing called the circle of fifths, and it can be explained to you in another way, lots of different ways if you want to go exploring. But this is just the quick down and dirty, figure it out right now. Okay, in Tone Savvy, I put in somebody asked me a question. No, I'm getting feedback. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Never in Tone Savvy, I put in some key signature. Oops. I thought I did. Oh, let me take that out of there because that's the wrong thing. So I put in some key signature examples, and I started off with the singing keys. Okay, let's try this one more time. There. Okay. So same deal. Your only choices are C major, D major, F major, G major, and you will also have B flat major. And
All of these.
the thing you have to do is this. So we need the second to the last one. So this is going to be what key?
B flat.
B flat. And if I don't put the flat in, it will not let me go forward. Okay, what's this?
C.
C, natural. You have to put it in. All right, and then this one is
F.
F.
Natural.
So we go to the last one and go up a half step.
D.
G.
Natural.
Dog.
G. Natural.
Is piano major.
Yeah.
All right, you get the idea?
And what was the rule with the flats? With
The second to the last note will name it.
okay, and if there's only a B flat, then it was
F. And I wrote that down on the website too.
okay.
Okay. Good to go there? Woo! I'm running late. All right, let's just do a real quick look at steps to harmony before we go. Okay, last week, or this week, we were looking at this one, I think. And starts on,
I don't see anything yet.
oh, well, let me stop that and try it again. Now do you see it?
It says you started screen sharing, but we haven't seen it.
Huh. Give it a second. Still nothing?
Nothing.
Yeah.
All right then. Well, here's what we're going to do. For next week, I want you to look at page 3 in this Steps to Harmony bit. And that's going to give us some bigger or more leaps than we had before. We're going to use the ones that we already had. So the do, mi, re, fa, all those fa, re, mi, do. We're going to get a lot of that in there. So take a look at those, prep them, sing them, try and figure them out. If you notice, page 3 will have a different key signature. You need to figure out where do is, even though we know on these pages that there's a big clue because they all start on do. But you can double check and make sure that it matches with that key signature and figure it out. All right, does anybody have any questions before we take off for this week? I'll get you a triad exercise and I will get
I have no questions.
okay, and
The
everything.
stove stopped making its funny weird thing. So
Did you turn it back on?
oh, here.
There it is.
Well, this is a different page, but yeah. So we have this, and then down below we've got the video I showed you, and we've got last week's recordings and the week before, and I'll have the other ones up of this. So if you need to go back and look at something we talked about or something we practiced, you're welcome to do that too. Yeah. Move to tone savvy, steps to harmony. Look at the major minor snails if you want, and here's how to find do in the easiest possible way. And I will add a triad exercise up here for you to look at too. Okay, are we good?
Yes.
All right, good work. Onward.
Goodbye, everybody.
Good night.
Everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Next week.